That sciatic nerve pain, man, and unless you've had it, you just don't know how bad it is.
It's crazy because it's like at first you're like, man, what is that? It must be my hamstring because it feels like right in there. And then the pain started moving up to like the top of my butt cheek, and then it went down all the way to my Achilles. Can't sleep at night. Anything that pinches that nerve a little bit more just makes it like excruciating discomfort and pain.
Yeah, the same thing. I ruptured S1 L5, and then when you do have like a flare up from it,
yeah,
the last thing you want is anyone to move you, touch you. You're like, no, I just gotta wait for this thing to calm down.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the CPI podcast. I got Don Tran here, co-founder of the Underwater Torpedo League, Deep End Fitness. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
And partners with one of my good friends, Prime, who's also been a patient here.
Yes, he has been.
Is that how you found out about us?
Yes, it is. And he found out from Dominic Cruz, and we've been down here a few times and just been on the recovery path.
Awesome.
Let's be down here.
And what was it originally you came down here to get treated?
So this is my third time here. The first time was
third time. You're making it sound like it doesn't work.
Oh no, for different injuries. Yeah. So first time I came down in 2021, right after COVID. It was for an partially torn rotator cuff that I injured from the military, and then last September in 2023, I came down for a herniated disc, or two herniated discs, and then now I'm here for the re-up, the little recharge STEMI pack.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So how'd you hurt your back and your shoulder? Like, what happened?
Yeah. Left shoulder. I was in the military, so we were with Marine Special Operations Battalion, and we were doing what we call VBSS, so vessel board search and seizure. So like you go onto a ship and you're, clearing everything out and making sure like there's no drugs or bad guys on the ship. But in one of the training missions we did, I was carrying one of my friends on a Skedco, so like a litter. With him, he's probably like a 200-pound dude with all his gear and stuff on, and we were running down and trying to carry him down a ladder well. And I was hanging onto the ladder well, my foot slipped, and I didn't want to drop him because he's like tied up and wrapped up, so I tried to hold on, and then I popped my shoulder, dislocated it, and then when I let go of him eventually and he fell, when it went back into the socket, it took a piece of my rotator cuff and shoved it inside that socket.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it's good now after.
So you didn't have to have them like go in and clean out the.
So it was I left it for like 7-8 years, and it eventually moved that scar tissue piece out to the corner of it. But it was just like my limited mobility that was the problem, and the strength around there that was the problem. So when I went down here for the first time, that fixed that.
Wow. So without surgery or anything.
Without surgery or anything.
7 years, man. That's a long time to go. Painful.
Yeah. So. But yeah, all good there. And then for my back, just so many injuries from the back, from being in the military, from, bad jump landings to, I was at helicopter crash to.
Helicopter crash?
Falling off a,
I just got my pilot's license. You're worrying me. What happened?
Yeah.
In the helicopter crash?
Yeah, we were in a training mission in Arizona, and
with Yuma?
Yeah, near Yuma kind of area, like YPG Proving Grounds kind of thing area, so right by Yuma, but we were on an infill in a CH-53, so the front sensors was broken. So coming into Yuma, it gets super sandy, so they call it like brownout conditions, so they didn't see a Connex box that we were flying into, so the top rotor hit the Connex box, and, of course, that moved the aircraft coming straight up, and then if it goes up, it has to go down, so it hit the backside of it, but we were on the 30-second call, so that means we're about to land, and it was my job to me, another guy, and then the crew chief to get all the troops ready. And we were like training these guys to go on their own mission kind of thing and doing that training. So when it hit the front of that Connex box, the tail end started bouncing up and down. And I was unclipped and unseatbelt. So I was just like, boom, 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 top of the aircraft, bottom of the aircraft, probably like 6 or 7 times. Had a concussion coming out of it, like bruised ribs coming out of it. So I didn't know my back was that bad, but, that was just one of the many injuries that contributed to it. So it was like last year, probably around this time, March, April timeframe-ish, I was like starting to feel like these crazy numbing, tingling sensation, more so than ever. And I was like, man, I got to get this checked out, and then, I'm an extremely active guy, so I love, going outside, running and swimming and all that stuff. So I was like, continuing to push it while I was waiting for my VA doctor appointment, which was like not until July, when the time I got the appointment for them to check it out and get an MRI and everything. So probably made it worse being that active. And when I actually got the MRI, it was like a 8 millimeter protrusion in my L5S1, and then a 5 millimeter protrusion in my L4 L5.
Big ones.
Yeah, big one. So it was just pushing on my sciatic nerve the whole time. So that numbing, loss of strength. Like I remember on a run one day, it was like a 6 mile run I was trying to do, and 3 miles out, my leg went completely numb. I fell, and I had a limp back for 3 miles. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I was like, man, we got to do something. So I was like, man, maybe I can explore going back down here to CPI and checking it out. So that's what I did. And now I'm walking, running, not lifting heavy, crazy weights like deadlifting or squatting like I used to, but I'm running again and moving around and swimming again and everything. So super grateful.
That's sciatic nerve pain, man. Unless you've had it, you just don't know how bad it is.
It's crazy because it's like at first you're like, man, what is that? And then you think it's your leg. I thought it was like, oh, my hamstring. It must be my hamstring because it feels that like right in there. And then the pain started moving up to like the top of my butt cheek, and then it went down all the way to my Achilles, and then these can't sleep at night. The positioning, like anything that pinches that nerve a little bit more just makes it like excruciating discomfort and pain.
Yeah. It's hard to describe that pain if you've never had it and how debilitating it really could be. I had the same thing. I ruptured S1 L5. And sometimes even my family, like they look at me like, come on, like,
yeah.
I'm like, no, you don't know how bad it hurts. And then when you do have like a flare up from it,
the
last thing you want is anyone to move you, touch you. You're like, no, I just got to wait for this thing to calm down.
Yeah.
I need this thing to stop firing down my leg.
Yeah.
And then I can try to get my life back.
I was watching this comedian, Joe Coy, and he talks about like, the older guys more guys have sciatic pains and all that stuff. And there's this weird position that people are always stretching if they have any sciatic pain. And I just started doing that and noticing. My girlfriend's like, you notice you're starting to do that stretching? I was like standing up, putting your leg on one eye, like something, and then just leaning forward to stretch it. Now, like, like that red car mentality, I'm seeing everybody do that now. I'm like, hey, have you tried checking that out and doing something about it? But it's just super interesting to see.
For me, the only thing that really helped was stretching my hip flexors.
Okay.
Because I was so bent over all the time that they would shorten. And sometimes I would sleep like in fetal position. And I'd wake up and I'd try to stretch out, And then I would squeeze down on the back or putting socks on in the morning was so bad.
Yeah, I got all the tricks now. I got the in between the legs pillow when I'm sleeping. I got the pillow in the back of my lower back when I'm driving. I got all these stretching materials. And one thing that's actually helped me out a lot is the So-Right, surprisingly.
Oh, yeah,
For some reason, I don't know how that's related.
I think
but
that
I
gets
had like
down
a
into
trainer
your hip
tell me
flexors,
like, just lay on that thing a few times a day. Whenever the pain, then the actual relieves a lot of the pressure that I didn't know about. So,
you ever go over to sports performance?
I have not.
That's like Dom's physical therapist. A bunch of the UFC guys go over there in San Diego. They got a few locations.
I go to Rhodey.
I go over there. Rhodey's awesome too. Yeah, Rhodey's
I go
awesome
Rhodey
too.
all the time.
Yeah,
for that and the other.
And they just do it so good. They loosen that stuff up. So, well, that's great. I think you just came back from your MRIs, so you haven't had a chance to see the MRIs yet.
I have not.
Okay, but you're feeling good.
Yeah, I feel great. I'm like, used to be like a 7 consistent pain, and then it could spike up to like a 8 or 9 depending on days. But now I'm like at a 0 pain most of the time. It could spike to a 1 to a 2.
Oh, that's a big change.
Big change, massive change.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend
how
appreciates
far are you
it.
out? 6 months or
6 months? Yeah, I got back in September.
Another easy 6 months of healing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
So we'll see where it goes. And then we got the IVs tomorrow. Intravenous. So
nice.
I'm stoked about that.
That's killer, man. That's killer. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're getting such great results from it with your business. Tell us a little bit about your businesses, because obviously you got to be active in that.
Yeah.
I got a sciatic nerve twitch once, way out in the middle of the ocean, kiteboarding once. I thought I was going to drown.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that, because I had a few incidents where I'm like, man, because swimming, everybody says it's super low impact, but they forget about like when you kick off the wall when you're doing laps. And I couldn't even do that when my back was messed up.
Wow.
So like I was just treading water, swimming close to the wall, then swimming back to the other side. But my business is with Prime is Deep End Fitness. So we are a licensing based business, and we rent public pool facilities, and then we run fitness classes that are there. Think about in between like a CrossFit style class and a freediving class. So some ground elements to it, top of the water, underneath the water, a lot of a lot of time underneath the water. And really what we use all those movements for is to kind of hit your stress response and how to deal with that, right? Because everybody has that anxiety or that fear when they go underwater and like, hey, do I need to come up for air right now? But the more you train with us, the more you adapt yourselves to dealing with that kind of stress response, the better it is to kind of translate that ability to manage that stress and relate it to outside, like the world outside, like how you deal with a firefighter running into a burning building, or two spouses having an argument, and kind of how to deal with that. So that's the kind of thing we hit.
I checked out a class once with Prime. Didn't actually get in the pool because my back was still all jacked up then. And I was like,
yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, it's like underwater CrossFit basically is what it seemed like to me. And there's a lot of high athletes that are doing it for improvement in like endurance and breathing and stuff, man. It's
yeah,
really
exactly.
cool.
So breath work is a huge portion of it, right? Like how do you control your nervous system between your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system before you get ready for whatever's next, right? And we just trying to train people to like understand that. And for us, mimicking that stressful situation or that stress inoculation is asking them to go back down underwater when they're already gassed, their heart rate's accelerated, their breathing pattern's accelerated, and everything's heightened. So how fast can you slow everything down to get prepared to use it for the next task?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah. So, it's been an extremely interesting journey, and we've been doing it for like 6 years now and some change. And we're about to hit like 33 locations coming up soon across the country. Most of them are like in coastal cities, California, Texas, Florida, and then moving some other interesting areas across the nation as well.
And how'd you guys develop it? Like how, like also, where'd it come from?
So Prime and I, we met each other in Marine Special Operations Assessment Selection in 2010, doing one of like the crazy team events. I met Prime when one of the events was like carrying 2 5-gallon jugs, so 8 pounds a gallon, so like 40 pounds on each hand with your 50-pound ruck and carrying it for 3 miles. But I thought, moving that weight, it should be okay. But it was like my grip strength that completely blew out, that I couldn't even grab it anymore. So Prime actually ended up helping me because he's a big dude. He ended up carrying one of my jugs. I just like muscled it, carried one like this, and he had one on his back, and he carried the other 2 jugs for me for the last half mile on one of the events, and became friends ever since. So after that, we had the opportunity to work at a pool in Camp Pendleton before we went into the actual pipeline. We both got selected, worked at a pool, had like access to the hills of Camp Pendleton, an old jailhouse weight set on the side of the pool, and we just started in a 15-foot deep pool, and we just started combining like those 3 elements together, running up the hills, hill sprints to like doing deadlifts on the side of the pool and then jumping in and doing that. And that was like the aha moment for us, because at that time it was our job just to train all these units to get them to get ready for deployment and go overseas and get their swim qualification. So we're like, oh man, if we just put their focus on something else, whether it be the torpedo that we could talk about in a little bit, or putting on following your buddy or whatever that is. And it was like an aha moment for us. And then fast forward, we went to started deploying to the Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq, and all that stuff. And when we got back, it was a time in like 2015 or so, 14 or so, Obama was pulling most of the troops out of the Middle East, and it was our unit's mission to go over to Asia or Southeast Asia, the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, like to kind of help out with the piracy issues there, and then keep eyes on China and stuff like that. So we had to get back in the water and get ready to go on dive missions and all that stuff. So we started using this tool we had back in the day of like combining ground elements and water elements in the pool to become what Deep in Fitness is today. So when we got out in 2017, 2018, we started doing and running classes, and now it's growing to what it is today.
That's super cool. Another great story about Prime. He's such a great guy. Like everybody's got an awesome Prime story, something like that.
Yeah.
He helped save your ass, and you guys became buds, and then
now we're
business partners.
Yeah, now we're business partners together.
That guy. Prime's the man. Shout out Prime.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So then, how did the torpedo part develop?
Yeah. So the game is called Underwater Torpedo League now, is what we call it. But back in the day in the military, it's called underwater football, right? And it could be a torpedo, it could be like a greased up watermelon, or whatever that is, and a whole bunch of different versions to the rules in the games. And when we were playing it, we would just put 2 75-pound kettlebells down at the deep end of the 15-foot pool, get this item, the torpedo, a brick, or whatever that is, swim to the other side without being tackled, and then holding on to that kettlebell for 3 seconds underwater. And, like it was the Navy SEALs play a different version. Marine Recon guys play a different version. We were playing our own version of it. When we got out, we were like, oh, man, let's see if we can professionalize this and grow into something. So now it's kind of evolved into like water polo, but underneath the water. So it's 5-on-5. Take a water polo net, shrink it down to like a kid's hockey size goal, put it down in the deep end of a 12 to 15 foot deep pool, and then you just go at it and try to get the torpedo into the other person's goal, and that's the purpose of the game. Yeah, but that's been extremely interesting, and the content goes really viral because like there's a bunch of half naked dudes fighting over a very phallus shaped object, So the comment just goes off about like these guys are playing these weird ass games. But yeah, just originally as a water survival training tool to get your mind off of holding your breath underwater and putting your focus on the torpedo and fighting for that. So
man,
yeah,
that's cool. Well, if somebody wants to go watch some of these phallic videos, where do they go watch them?
Yeah, you can watch it on our YouTube. We go live for 2 tournaments a year. Our spring open this year is on the May 18th and 19th, and then at the end of the summer, probably end of September timeframe, we have our Aqua Bowl tournament, is what we call it, like our finale kind of thing. We have teams from all over the country. We had teams from like South Carolina, Texas, Portland, Arizona. We have some college teams come in. Hopefully, we're getting a team from USC because that's where Prime and I went for our business school to get them to recruit them, their ROTC program, to come and play with us. So it's been an interesting journey.
Most of the other guys in the military, or like where
it started that way, but now it's like our Newport Beach team they just won the last Aqua Bowl, but nothing but ocean lifeguards, water polo players, and pro surfers, pretty much. But it's like everybody sees that as a training tool to help them enhance their own abilities in the water, especially for the big wave surfers and the lifeguards that have to go out there in like those stressful situations in the water.
So mimicking a stress situation underwater.
Yeah.
And
by somebody grabbing you and trying to rip that torpedo out of you.
Are you allowed to like RNC while you're down there?
Yeah. So no choking. Yeah, no chokes. And no single limb submissions. And we had to put that rule in because Alima was playing with us all the time. Yeah. And she would always put people in arm bars. And, if you're cranking on an arm bar underwater, it's completely different. You have way more torque than you think you do underwater. So it was like messing people up.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah, and she's a savage.
RNC, you pass out while you're underwater.
Yeah, and then now people think you're blacked out and you're drowning. And
good. Makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Man, that's super cool. Well, congratulations on all the success with it.
Oh, thank you very much. Still a long way to go, but it's been awesome.
Yeah. What are some of the next steps that you guys got coming up other than the Aqua Bowl?
Yeah, so like we were talking about the licensing side of it, we're just continuing to expand that across country right now. And if you're interested, hit us up if you want to start your own location. But potentially building our own location somewhere in Southern California and finally...
So like have your own pool?
Yeah, have our own pool, half gym kind of set up, like a CrossFit kind of style gym and then a pool to kind of collaborate those two pieces together. Because, in Southern California, like the pool availability situation is really difficult. So we want to build our own and somewhere we can call home. Half office, half gym, half...
That'd be great.
Yeah, half pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be super cool, yeah. I mean, it just makes sense, you know what I mean? Like, we've always seen... I think it was like Laird used to run underwater, right?
Yeah, he still does with his XPT program.
And then, I grew up training with BJ Penn. And they would do all kinds of like, jumping in and out of the pool, one-handed kettlebell up off the bottom of the pool and getting out of the pool and stuff like that. And the water just like adds such a great, it kind of lowers the impact, but at the same time, like, when you're down there at the bottom of the pool, like we used to do like these giant medicine balls and you're like, oh, you want to give up, your brain is like, you don't have enough oxygen.
Yeah, but you do most of the time.
Right. And just fighting through that, the learning like, no, I got this.
Yeah. And like, honestly, we get so much inspiration from those guys, BJ Penn, all the North Shore lifeguards dudes training up there and then Laird as well. So just taking what they've taught us and what they've been doing and trying to commercialize it.
And structure it. And, And exactly. Do you guys have like, specific like programs where people run through it? Like, you start at this level.
Yeah, we have, so like our instructor pipeline, we have a few courses that we can do. We have like some seminars that we run for our basic ones, our water confidence course, like the beginner level, teach people how to survive in the water. And that's coming a lot from like the military water survival training scenarios on how to survive in like you fall off a cruise ship or something like that. I don't know if you ever heard of the story, like a few months ago, some guy fell off a Carnival cruise and he was in the ocean by himself for 23 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And surviving. And exactly. He was like shivering and all that stuff, but they found it. And his biggest thing was like, hey, I just knew that I had to conserve as much energy as possible, slowly move in a direction that I thought was east or west from the sun, and then maintaining like my calm and my cool, because I knew it was like if I stressed out, it'd be over for him. Yeah. And then we have our seminar, a CO2 tolerance specific seminar, and that's more for the athletes focus and how to use it, how to train with your CO2 tolerance and build that up.
What's the CO2 tolerance?
Yeah, so like everybody thinks when we have the urgency to breathe, right, that's the lack of oxygen, but it's really the buildup of CO2 in our body and how fast our body can offload it or maintain that level of CO2 buildup and still perform, right? And it has to do with like your lactate threshold as well, why you feel that pump coming on and you do that. So we train people to be aware of that, where that threshold is for your body, and then see if we can push that a little bit more for your body and your cells to handle a little bit more CO2.
How do you do that? You just increase. Like hold them down in the pool a little longer and
we just have them. We just have more time underwater, of course, and time underwater and under tension, and we can do that. So mimicking them and having them, increase their heart rate and their need for oxygen on the land, and as well as off-gassing CO2 and then putting them back underwater, having them do specific drills, whether that be swim underwater, carry some dumbbells, a rock, some weights, or going down and picking up the weights and bringing it out of the water. And having them navigate that really helps out with like, hey, do I really need the urgency to breathe right now, right? Or, hey, can I remain calm in this situation, take some full deep breaths that will actually help the oxygen get back into my body, and in turn, better translate the oxygen to your muscles, like VO2 max, CO2 tolerance is very closely related terms, and then helping them navigate that. So
interesting. So is there like specific techniques or something you can do while you're underwater that other than mental for the CO2?
Preparation is going to be the biggest thing, right? So what's the breath you're taking before you go down? Are you just taking a quick gas, or are you taking a full 5 to 10 second breath, or do you even have the ability to take that type of breath before you go down, right? So the difference between like our program and freediving is, free divers are always going from like a homeostasis point, or as close as they can get to there, right? There's been a lot of concepts of like no warm up start. So like, some of the deepest free divers go out there, they just do it from a cold start. So they get back to how they're breathing, how they're feeling, if like they're reading a book. Right. At that point, you're fully relaxed, you're going down. So you're not pre-breathing, you're not doing anything, and then you're going down. But for us, that's not very realistic in those situations that would happen for you. For firefighters or policemen, like they're already stressed out. Maybe they had to go chase somebody. Now they got to go into a building and, potentially shoot this guy or potentially have to apprehend this individual. So we kind of put them in a state like, hey, you have 5 seconds to slow your heart rate down, to slow your mind down, to make yourself put yourself in the best situation to better assess the threats and then make the best decision. So that's kind of how we play with that, a little bit different from the freediving world and doing that. But
so it's not like a specific technique, like, hey, you're underwater, you feel that way, you can let a little air out, or you can,
you can, right? So if those are some of the tips and tricks, right? So for me, when I'm down underwater and I start to get those convulsions or like my diaphragm's contracting, I know that I'm at my halfway point. So for me, I'm like, okay, cool. I've probably been around underwater maybe for, 20, 30 seconds. I got a lot of work left to do. I need to space it out, whether I can tell my mind to, hey, whatever positive mantra you want to tell yourself to keep calm. Like for me, my way to stay calm is to put a song in my head. And my song has always been Oasis Wonderwall. I don't know if
I like that song.
Yeah, but that's like my song from the military. Like, hey, just calm down. You got a little bit more to go. You'll be fine, and kind of dealing with that. And that's really your body adapting to that CO2 tolerance at that exact moment that you're choosing to stay down there a little bit longer, right? Then you would want to come up right away for air. So continue to push forward and doing that. But before that, it's like, hey, what kind of breathing patterns can you do to slow your heart rate down before you go down underwater, right? And for us, it's really to focus on just elongating that exhale, if that's the only thing that you can remember. Taking a deep diaphragmatic breath in, right from the belly, of course, and then fully exhaling it out and then elongating that each time longer. So I like to do a 3 second in, 3 seconds out, 3 seconds in, 5 seconds out, 3 in, 7 out, 3 in, and 10 out, and then boom, I'm ready to go.
And that's then you get in the water.
And then I get in the water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Have you had a chance to do much like water training? You did IV stem cells when you were down here too, right?
Yeah, so I did IV stem cells last time, and I did the injections into my intercostals, the spine, my S1,
Okay.
and all that. So
you probably haven't done. I'm just curious because, you know, a lot of the kind of endurance athletes, the fighters, the jiu-jitsu guys that come down here, when they do make it back to whatever they're doing with training, they frequently say that their cardio goes through. We have this one power lifter guy that comes down here. He's probably been here 5 times now. And he says like his cardio and his ability to work out from the IV stem cells, you know, just goes through the roof for him. So
yeah,
I wasn't sure if you've had time to train to notice any of that.
Yeah, so I took about 2 months fully off after I got all the procedures, like the stem cells on my back, and then I got, I think, 50 million cells in the IV. But it took 2 months off completely, and I thought that my recovery process or getting back to close to what I was, especially upper body strength and all that stuff, I wasn't doing too much legs and deadlifts and squats, but it went back within like a week and a half, 2 weeks of not working out for 2 months, you know? So like that was super impressive. And I don't know if that was just from the rest I had that I'd never gave myself, or the stem cells like really helping and prolong, but I've never before that took 2 months off.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so I was just
Probably
surprised.
some of both of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy that comes down here, powerlifter, CrossFit guy, at first he came for an injury, and then he just started coming back because he was like, my ability to go and just work out really hard and recover so fast.
That's 100% true though, right? That's what the cells do.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if, you know, breathing wise, if you notice anything. We've treated like a lot of COVID long hauler patients, and it helps their lungs a lot. Sometimes during the first month, you know, they have a lot of stuff that comes up, you know, they're spitting up. Frequently when we have patients that were longtime smokers, same thing, their lungs start getting cleared up because I think, you know, a lot of the stem cells end up in your lungs eventually.
Especially
all your blood's
IVs,
going
right?
through your lung, from the IVs. And so I was curious with your, you know, underwater work, if you know, had a chance to notice a difference yet.
Yeah, I honestly haven't pushed any like crazy limits.
It's kind of soon, yeah.
Yeah, as of recently, to be honest, especially in the water. But you know, weightlifting and stuff like that, I do it more often now than I could back then for sure. And upper body strength is all back, and it's only been 6 months, so super impressed with that.
Awesome. Well, that's great, man. Give us a shout out where we can find out all of your information if we want to. Deep End Fitness.
For socials, Deep End Fitness or Underwater Torpedo League, just the way it's spelled and the way it's phonetically sounded. And give us a shout out. Check us out. If you're ever interested in jumping in the pool, let us know.
The pool.
Yep.
Yeah. With a bunch of guys.
Yeah. And girls. And girls.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's all right. I was going to say, are they all wearing the Speedos or what? You know?
I mean, a lot of them are going in the Speedos now for the speed, but you know, or jammers kind of things. But yeah, it's tight.
That's awesome. And any recommendations to anybody who might, you know, have a back issue, shoulder issue? Or?
Yeah, come check this out, please. Do yourself a favor, man. I wasn't moving. I wasn't walking properly. Couldn't sleep at night. And now I'm back to running, back to moving, back to living a normal life without the pain every morning. So highly recommend it and check it out.
It's funny how those little things of just being able to do this and put your sock on in the morning.
For real.
Life changing.
It is, right? Because normally you put your pants on when you're standing one at a time, but you can't even do that if your back's fucked up. So you got to sit down and put them one leg at a time, all slow. So
glad you're back and glad you're doing great. And let's go check out those MRIs.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.